What's up everyone, Fritz here again with another episode of Sneakerhead Ambition, and today I'm going to be doing a bot ranking video for you. I'm going to be going over what I feel are the top 5 sneaker bots on the market right now, with a couple honorable mentions as we head into most of the drops for 2022. This list is definitely something that changes over time, so when you're watching this, just be aware of when this was posted. This was posted about mid-February 2022, so just be aware that when you're watching this video, as bot rankings can definitely change rather quickly within this space. I'm not going to do a ranking for every site, so I'm not going to break it down for top 5 Yeezy supply bots, top 5 Shopify bots. I'm just going to be doing an overall ranking of how I feel that bot is, just in regards to how it will do across all sites. So you may see some bots that I highlight are very good at 1 or 2 things. There also may be bots on this list that I feel are very good across the board. So that is what I'll be focusing on. I'm not going to be focusing too much on retail. This is a top 5 overall sneakers bot for heading into 2022. This video is obviously my personal opinion or take on the matter, so this is not a fact, right? This is just how I feel about the sneaker bots in the market right now. I have used pretty much every top tier to mid tier bot there is at this point. There are definitely some that I haven't used, but I do have a very good feel pretty much across the board on all the bots. So it's definitely based on my opinion, also definitely based on Discord checkout logs. So, after every drop, there's usually a pretty good idea of how bots did, based on how many checkouts they've recorded. And it's obviously based off the anecdotal evidence of people that I know within this space who run often too. So like I said, it is an opinion, but it is based off of data. So just keep that in mind as you watch this video. I will say going into this ranking that the 2 sites that I'm weighting the most when considering where to rank bots are definitely going to be Yeezy Supply and Shopify. I will factor in DSG and FNL and JD. Those are modules that people run. They can be inconsistent on how many checkouts people actually get. They may get a lot of webhook checkouts, but hardly get any to stick. So those will be weighted, just not as highly as being good at Shopify or Yeezy Supply. And when I wrote this video about 2 weeks ago, I had kind of left out Footsites as much, but over the past couple weeks, it has seemed that Footsites are trending back to more first come, first serve online. We had the Flex raffle situation in December and January. It seems like I said, seems like they're trending back to first come, first serve online. So we are gonna have to just wait and see how that plays out. So I will factor Footsites in. I'll also factor in the Flex raffle system. But like I said, the 2 sites that I'm gonna focus the most on and put the most weight into are gonna be Shopify and Yeezy Supply. And if you're wondering why I'm weighting Shopify and Yeezy Supply more right now, it's just because right now in botting, if Footsites are Flex Raffle, those are really the only 2 sites where you can consistently run up multiples and hit multiples. Obviously, if Foots come back to first come, first serve, where they're dropping a lot of pairs online on Foot Locker, Champs, Kids Foot Locker, that will be a site that we can bot again and hopefully hit 10, 20, 30 pairs. But I'm gonna mostly stick, since we're not certain on that, to Yeezy Supply and Shopify, where people are able to hit multiple pairs if they have a good setup. Like I mentioned, you might see people that check out 200 pairs on DSG, but get literally a 1% stick rate. So just keep that in mind. There are people who do hit on DSG and FNL and get them to stick. There have been some recent developments, it seems, with Stormy. It's the only time I'm gonna mention that in this video, actually getting their orders to stick. So that is a development we've got to keep in mind. But just know that for the majority of people prior to about a week ago, if you see them hitting a bunch of pairs on Finish Line and DSG, they're not checking out a bunch. I'm not saying that's everybody. Some people have figured it out, but the majority of people that you see hit all those pairs aren't actually getting them to stick. So that is, like I said, that's a reason why I'm not weighting those checkouts as much as Yeezy Supply say, where if you get 20 checkouts on Yeezy Supply, you should expect 18 to 19, maybe even 20 of them to stick. So that's my reasoning behind that. One more thing that I'm going to mention before I get into the list is just the fact that still bot prices are pretty low and pretty reasonable. If you went back about a year ago, 12 months ago, and looked at prices right now are about half, maybe even less than they were at this time last year. So the bot market is extremely reasonable right now as far as price goes. I do feel, for the majority of bots right now, you pretty much are getting a fair price. It's not to say that that's cheap, but you are getting a price where if you learn to use the bot and you get to being able to run it effectively, you should be able to make your money back fairly quickly. So just keep that in mind, right? Bot prices can be very volatile, but right now they're still very reasonable for what the bots actually do. So first I'm going to go over a couple of my honorable mentions that didn't quite make the list, but I wanted to highlight somewhat. You will notice that through these, two of them are very good at one thing. The other is kind of a, jack of all trades, does several things very well. And that will be something that you want to keep in mind when listening to my ranking on a bot, because if you're not in this space regularly or you don't really know about all of the sneaker bots, just because you have one sneaker bot does not mean that you can bot every site effectively. So just pay attention when I'm talking about why I'm ranking the bot. Like I said, it could be because it's very good at one thing. It could be because it does a lot of things. It really will be different for every bot. So the first bot I have for honorable mention is Osiris Raffle Bot. This is, in my opinion, the premier raffle bot on the market right now. So if you are looking to raffle bot or you're looking for the Flex Raffle System module, this is a bot that's going to allow you to do that. As I mentioned, this is a raffle bot, so you're not going to be running for sites that have first come, first serve. You're going to be doing raffle botting. So with this bot, it does allow you a lot of different modules to do this raffle botting. They have pretty much all the Shopify modules, so if you're in the United States, they've got Kith, they've got Undefeated, they've got DSM, they've also got Snipes, they've obviously got the Flex Raffle System, they have Confirmed, so they pretty much have all of your bases covered as far as raffles go. I know they have Union, I know they have Travis Scott. I've used this bot successfully many times, so it really does cover pretty much all of your bases if that's what you're looking to get into, raffle botting. I will be doing a video specifically on this bot to cover how to actually go about entering those raffles, and I'm going to go into some of the resources you need to raffle bot more in depth. But for now, like I said, just know that this is pretty much the best raffle bot on the market. One thing to consider with raffle botting, and this is going to apply to any bot today that I talk about that has the Flex Raffle System, you do need to consider the fact that to raffle bot for a lot of sites, you're going to need to have accounts. Now, Osiris may have a account generator for that site. Pretty much every site they have one. So if you have the bot, it's going to help you generate accounts. Now, on top of that, you're also going to need a lot of real emails. So catch-alls aren't going to work that well on raffles. They're going to filter them out. So you are going to need to buy some Outlooks or some Gmails, and ideally you get them so that they're all real Gmails, but they're still all sending to one Gmail. So you have one Gmail that's a catch-all, but you are using real either Outlooks or Gmails. You can buy those in Discords, or you can work on creating yours. If you're really going to do this at scale, you're going to need to buy them. So that's one factor. And then obviously you're going to need proxies, so you're going to need proxy data just like any other bot. So you do need to keep in mind that it's not just going to be cards and proxies. You're also going to need emails and accounts. So just something to factor in with this raffle bot and any other bot, like I said, that's doing Flex Raffle that has that module. You're going to need accounts. So that is one extra thing that you're going to need to keep in mind if you're going to use the bot that way. If you're in a decent cook group, the odds are that you've maybe come across a group buy for this. I see them regularly in a couple of the groups that I'm in. So this is one way to get one of these keys. Just keep an eye out for that in your Discord group. And also, if you don't happen to be in a group that gets group buys, try to follow them on Twitter and just turn the notifications on so that you can see when they drop keys, and just do the best you can with that. Once you actually get the key, it's really not bad. It's only about $35 a month, which is very reasonable. And if you apply yourself and you get the resources needed, it should be fairly easy to make that back each month. So like I said, once you're able to actually get a key, that's more the difficult part with this bot. It's very reasonably priced. And next up on my list of honorable mention is going to be Toru AIO. This is a bot that, for the buy price I'll go over in a little bit, is an outstanding deal and covers a lot of different modules to cover all your bases. Now, I'm not going to say that Toru is the best at anything, because quite frankly, it's not. That is not what you're really looking for. If you're looking to buy a bot in the price range of Toru, you can't really expect that you're going to get a top tier bot at any site. Now, what Toru does offer, like I said, is modules that function. Now, that might seem kind of like a bad term to use for some of y'all that are newer to this. You're like, well, obviously it should function. But a lot of bots have a lot of modules that don't do anything. Toru does have a lot of modules, and it does them pretty well. Am I going to tell you that it's the best Yeezy supply bot? No, not at all. Is it the best Footsites bot? No. Is it the best sneakers bot? No. Is it the best JD bot? No. Is it the best Shopify bot? No. But it covers all of those sites. So if you are new to this, or you're new to botting and are trying to get a bot to try on multiple sites, this would be an outstanding option. If you've been botting for years and you're trying to get your optimal Yeezy supply performance or the best bot, it's not going to be this. But if you are tight on funds and you're learning, this is an outstanding option that, like I said, pretty much covers all the sites you're going to be able to bot on. Another nice feature about this bot is the fact that it does allow you to run thousands and thousands of tasks on certain sites. So if you have AYCD AutoSolve, that works very well with this bot. And this is a bot that, like I said, allows you to scale up your tasks well into the thousands. There are plenty of bots, and very good bots at this, that cap you at 1,000. This is a bot where you can really crank those tasks up more if you have a server or computer that allows you to do so. Toru is currently sitting about $300 to $400 on the resale market. And like I said, for what it does, that's a very reasonable price. I will say though that its best module is definitely Yeezy Supply. They have struggled on the past drop or two, but they are pretty consistent for Yeezy Supply. So if you are getting it, that would be the highlight module of the bot. And finally, for my last honorable mention for this list is going to be Kodai. I definitely threw this in here last minute because of the recent developments with Footsites seeming to move more to first come, first serve again online. Like I said, I'm not really sure why that is. I'm not sure if they realized when they were doing the Flex raffle that each drop they had tens of millions of new accounts, which obviously can't be legit. Or I'm not sure if it's because of the antics going on at drops in person where people are actually getting killed over shoes, which is just ridiculous. So with that being said, as it seems they're moving back more to first come, first serve, Kodai is definitely a bot you want to keep in mind. Now, why does this matter so much for Kodai? Kodai, for the most part, is very good at one thing, and that's Footsites. If these sites are back to first come, first serve, this is a bot you are going to want to have because it's going to do extremely well on those Footsite drops. It also has an FNL and JD module that does work pretty well, but like I said earlier, just because it has a module doesn't mean it works well. The Yeezy Supply module isn't much, it really doesn't do much. So just keep that in mind that if Footsites continue to drop online, this bot is a steal for the price it's at right now. Kodai is currently priced at about $400 to $500 on the resale market, which for somebody like me who's been botting for 2 to 3 years is outrageous, considering I've seen this bot all the way up to 5, 6, 7K. So, like I said, so far this year, Kodai hasn't done much because the Footsite drops had been on the Flex raffle system. If they keep moving towards online, I would highly recommend picking up a copy of this for its current price because that is an absolute steal. All right, now for my 5th bot on the list. So number 5, I'm going to be going with Kylan. Kylan is also the only bot on this list that I don't really use. I have used it before, but like I said, just based off of other factors, I'm not the only person in the world and I'm not the only person botting. I'm going to have Kylan at number 5. Now, Kylan's best feature is going to be pretty much all in regards to Footsites. It's going to be extremely good at Footsites first come, first serve, probably the best at Footsite restocking, and it also has a very good Flex raffle module. So again, this is not a bot that you're going to be running on Shopify and thinking you're going to do great, but this is a bot that if you are looking for Footsite drops, does extremely well on all 3 aspects of Footsites. If you are trying for Footsite restocks or have been trying to hit them, you at this point probably know that you need a bot that has automation to really even have a chance. There is another bot on this list today, actually 2 bots that have this automation. It is a must if you're going to hit these restocks. It's a must because if you see, let's say you see the notification in Discord, go over, set up your tasks, hit start. There are a lot of people now who are running bots 24/7 with proxies monitoring. So the second that that thing drops on that restock, if you wait 2 or 3 minutes, you pretty much already missed it. So that is a great feature of Kylan. It's probably the best right now at hitting restocks or Footsite restocks. And it also is just a regular top performer if you're going for Footsites on first come, first serve. So with that trend, like I've been mentioning over and over and over again in this video, Kylan is a great Footsite option. Along with being dominant on pretty much all aspects of Footsites, Kylan does also have a Yeezy Supply module that I know people use regularly and have success all the time. Again, is it the best Yeezy Supply module? Definitely not. But it is one that works very well in addition to, again, the main course or the main purpose to get this bot is going to be for Footsites. While I don't have this bot personally, I am really looking to invest in this in the near future. I'm obviously continuously looking to improve, and I do want this in my lineup or arsenal when it comes to Footsites. So this is something that, like I said, I have used it before. I do not own a copy, but this is a bot that I really am looking to get sometime soon. Another cool thing about Kylan is that it has a partner app called Kylan One Click. If you use AYCD AutoSolve or AYCD, It is their version of that. I have heard really good reviews of it. I've never used it personally, and I do know that some people like it more than AYCD. I've heard that the conversion from taking the profiles on there to Kylan is good. I've heard that it doesn't mess up your Gmails as much. Basically, I've heard good reviews of it. That is something. So like if you don't like AYCD for some reason or another, or you don't want to use it, this does have that feature where you can use an app that is literally built alongside of it and just has an easy conversion from one click onto Kylan. So that is a nice feature and something that you can look into if you get this bot. This bot also allows you to run thousands and thousands and thousands of tasks if you can handle that on your server or computer. So again, that is a nice feature. Like I said, some of the bots on this list will cap you kind of at 1K or so, or at least there are a lot of bots that do that. So that is a nice feature as long as you have the server or computer to go along with it. Kylan is currently sitting at about 2K on the resale market. I think that's a pretty reasonable price for what it does. Like I said though, if you're really looking at getting this bot, it should be because of Footsites. Again, that could be first come, first serve online restocks, or flex raffle, but that is going to be the main reason you would be getting this bot. And coming in at number 4 on this list is a bot that I've used a lot recently and recently got a copy of, and that is going to be Noble AIO. There are definitely a lot of features and modules on Noble that I really like. Among those is just a great Yeezy supply module. It also has a DSG model, which is great. And then it also has a flex raffle system and does an outstanding job on Footsite restocks with its automation feature. Like I mentioned, the Yeezy supply module that Noble has is very good. It has been a top 5 performer pretty much on the last month or two of Yeezy supply drops, so that is great. And just like other bots that I've mentioned, this bot does, if your server allows it, it allows you to crank up your Yeezy supply tasks to 3, 5, 10K, again, if your computer or server can handle that. So this has been performing consistently as of late on Yeezy supply, and I really don't see why that's going to change anytime soon. Another great feature is the Flex module on Noble AIO for the Flex Raffle system, and in my opinion, based on what I've seen and used, this is the best Flex Raffle module. I have mentioned Osiris. I do like Osiris's, but I think Noble's is better. I know Kodai has one. I know that Kylan has one, but in my opinion, this is the best Flex Raffle module that is out right now. Like I said, this may have decreased in importance just due to the fact that we are seeing that trend back to more first come, first serve online. But if you've got all those accounts, it wouldn't hurt to have this bot just because it is very easy to use. The UI makes the Flex Raffle system very simple. So if you're looking to use that, this would be a great option. Another great feature of Noble is the fact that it does have a DSG module. Now, some of you may say that doesn't mean much because none of the orders stick, but there have been recent developments in the past couple drops that have led to more orders sticking. Now, I can't claim that, 80, 70, 60, or even 50% of your orders are going to stick, but it is good that they have the DSG module and it is improving. So that's something to keep in mind and just continue to monitor, because if they really do get it working, that's going to be a major bonus to this bot, because quite frankly, hardly any bots have this module at this point. Stormy does have a module for DSG, and that does seem to be the best. That bot is not on my list because that is the only thing it does well, but that is something to keep in mind. If this bot does nail this down and convert those webhooks into more checkouts, this would be an outstanding option. Last but certainly not least is Noble AIO's Footsite automation feature. Over the past month or two with Footsite restocks, I would say that this is probably the best bot out. As I mentioned earlier, if you really are trying to get these Footsite restocks online, you need to have a bot that is running automation. Noble has that. It does have it where you're going to be burning some proxy data, but you can put in SKUs. You can put in whatever SKU you're looking for, all the recent Jordan drops, all the recent Yeezy drops. You enter those SKUs and then you run their monitors. That means that anytime it sees those SKUs pick up, it's just going to start however many tasks you have it scheduled to do so immediately. So I would say right now that is the strongest feature on this bot. Yeezy supply module is probably a close second, but this is definitely the best feature on this bot right now, and allows you to hit those Footsite restocks, which can be very difficult to do, especially if you're not at your computer. So as you can see, Noble definitely has a lot of different modules that all work very well. That would be its YS module, its DSG module, its Flex Raffle module, and its Footsite automation. All of those are very good and top tier within their own subsection, which is why I have this bot listed so highly on my list. Two more features that I really like about Noble, and they're not necessarily massive deals, but one of them would be is just the fact that if you are going into a big drop, Noble does allow you to rent or purchase an additional instance or two. So, if you nail your setup down and you want to up how many tasks you're running, they do allow you to run multiple instances. So that is helpful. And then another one is just a little addition that I think goes a long way, and that's the fact that they show a data usage counter up in the UI. So if you're running residential proxies, it gives you a real-time live assessment of how much data you are using. Doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but when you're running big setups, it does help to have an objective view of how much data you're actually consuming and how much you have left. Noble is currently sitting at about 2.5K on the resale market. You're not really supposed to resell it. I think it's binded to your Discord, so I would never tell you to go looking to buy a copy. Don't ever do that. But they are doing a lot of group buys right now. I got my copy about a month or so ago for $400 up front, and then it's $180 per quarter. That some might say that's a good amount of money, but I think that based off what it does and all of the working modules it has, you should be able to make that money back rather quickly. So that's what you're looking at right now if you're looking to purchase a copy of Noble. Coming in at number 3 on my list, I have MECH AIO. This bot does do many sites very well, so it has a lot of good working modules. But the main reason it's at number 3 is how well it does on the 2 sites that I said I'm going to weight the most, which would be Yeezy Supply and Shopify. MECH definitely has a top performing Shopify module. It is routinely in the top 1 to 3 bots on Shopify. So that is definitely one of its largest strengths right now. And the fact that it also has a Shopify automation feature, which again is awesome for those of us who can't be at our computer all day. That really bumps this bot up on my list. MECH also has a top Yeezy Supply module. It is routinely in the top 5 bots in performance when it comes to Yeezy Supply drops. Sometimes it falls right outside the top 5, sometimes it's all the way up to 2 or 3, but it does perform very well on a consistent basis. So again, if you're looking at this bot, it's going to do an outstanding job for you on both Shopify and Yeezy Supply. It also has a module for Footsites. It also has a module for Nike sneakers. I do not use those much. Like I said, I try to use bots for what they're best at, but if you are looking into this bot, it does cover a good amount of your bases, and it does an outstanding job at those top 2 sites, Yeezy Supply and Shopify. One other benefit, especially for a bot that is as good as it is on Yeezy Supply and Shopify with the additional Footsite module, is the fact that it gives you 2 instances. So if you own a copy of MECH, you get 2 instances. I would recommend putting 1 instance on a server or your computer and 1 instance on a different server. That's going to allow you to have 2 setups, right? You can have 1 setup for Yeezy Supply, 1 setup for Shopify, or 1 setup for Footsites, 1 setup for Shopify. This is going to allow you to just have a little better idea of what's going on. It can get very hectic running all of that on the same instance on the same server. So that is a plus, that you can kind of divide up your tasks and divide up what you need to be monitoring on each one of those servers. I do also like that MECH is constantly trying to add minor features to help out on drop days. 2 of those features. It was one of the first bots to implement the 3DS checkout proxy. So you could have ISPs in there, you could do local, basically trying to make those checkouts go through more efficiently. Another minor feature is that recently for Yeezy Supply, they implemented a wait for sale feature to try to not burn through your Gmails 10 minutes before the drop even starts. So while these are minor, it does point out the fact that they're trying to make minor tweaks to make it a little easier to bot. So that is a good sign. And it's helpful that the devs are constantly trying to improve the module, which is always a good thing. I do not currently own MECH, but it is a bot that I rent on a regular basis, and that is a good feature with this bot, is that you can rent it before making that plunge into purchasing a copy. You can usually get a copy for less than $50 per drop, so that is a great option if you're just getting into botting and want to try this bot out before making that big investment. If you are looking to purchase MECH, right now it's going for about $1,000 on the resale market, give or take. Prices can always go down. I'm not going to tell you that the bot market couldn't decrease even more from here. But I feel like, in my opinion, this is the best deal on the market. This is the best bang for your buck you're going to get with a bot. For $1,000, you're getting 2 very top tier modules, the YS module and the Shopify module, along with its ability to do other sites. So while I'm not sneezing at $1,000, I do think that's the best deal on the market right now. The 2 bots that I'm about to go over above this definitely cost more money. I'm not going to say that they're not better bots. They definitely are. But for the price of around $1,000, MECH is a steal. And coming in at number 2 on my list, I have Wrath AIO. I did make a bot ranking video about 5 to 6 months ago at this point. I believe Wrath was #1 on that list at the time. That should tell you a lot that it is still up in that top tier. I know a lot of people would argue that this is the top bot right now, and it's a top bot, or at least the second bot in my opinion, just because of the fact that it does a lot of sites extremely well. I'll get into the specifics now, but basically this bot is ranked so highly because of those two modules that I'm putting more weight into. That would be Yeezy Supply and Shopify. This bot, again, is routinely a top performer in both of those sites. So on all Yeezy Supply drops, it's usually in the top 5. And then on Shopify, I'd say it's always in the top 3. So with this bot, you are getting a bot that is going to consistently perform on those two sites about as well as any other bot on the market. While Wrath does not have an automation feature, it does perform extremely well on Footsite restocks if you're able to get it running in time, and it has been doing an outstanding job on Footsite first come first serve drops since they have moved more back online. So with Footsites and the trend that we've been seeing, that is a big bonus to this bot because it has done an outstanding job recently on getting that Footsite module back up and running with the change that we've seen. This bot also has a very good Finish Line and JD Sports module. So while it doesn't have automation, it does cover pretty much all the sites you can bot on extremely well because it's got a top tier YS module, top tier Shopify module, top tier Footsite first come first serve module, and top tier JD Sports and Finish Line module. It's very difficult to find a bot that does all of those sites at all, let alone this well. In addition to this, Wrath has also added the option to have that second instance. So if you own a copy of Wrath, you now have 2 instances. So with a bot that is as good at all of those modules as we just covered, this is a great feature because you can do what I mentioned with MECH. You could have, let's say that you're running for Footsites and Shopify. Both of those drops usually happen at pretty much the same time, 10 a.m. It can be hard to be running thousands of tasks on one bot and have a couple Shopify in there. It is much easier to break them up, have one bot running on a server and have that be doing Footsites, and then the other's doing Shopify on a different server. It can just make it a lot easier to see what's going on and prioritize which captchas to solve and which information to pay the most attention to. Right now, Wrath is sitting at about 3.5 to 4K on the resale market. And while that is the most expensive bot right now, I think that it's a very reasonable price, like I said, for what it does. It allows you to pretty much bot every site that you have a chance of hitting. So you've got Yeezy Supply, you've got Shopify, you've got FNL, and you've got Footsites. So it covers everything. And again, I would say that this is a good investment because of the dev. Jason, he's been around now for years since I've started botting, and Wrath's been a top 3 bot now for 4 or 5 years. You want that staying power when you're making such a big investment because while you are investing in the software, if the dev isn't continuously updating that module, it's not going to do anything for you. So I would feel extremely comfortable making this investment just because of how long this bot has been doing this well and that the dev has really just done an outstanding job since day one. Now, I'm not saying this because I think that Jason is leaving anytime soon, but I do want to hammer home the point that nothing is 100% and nothing lasts forever. While Wrath has been at the top of its game now for 3, 4, 5 years, I bet to a lot of people it seems like Wrath will always be a top 2 or 3 bot. It seemed like that for Cyber too. A year ago or so, I would have never imagined Cyber would be where it's at right now. And when I got into botting and the first couple years I was in it, if I had to bet one bot that would not go anywhere, it would have been Cyber. It seemed like the marketing, the branding, the team just were top notch and that there was nothing that could happen to them. That's clearly not the case. So while I'm not saying this to warn you that Jason is leaving, that's not at all happening. But I do just want to hammer home the point that any bot can go down at any time because it's dependent on the devs. If somebody just decides to move on or has a different life opportunity or just gets sick of botting, there is no bot that is immune to this. So just keep that in mind when you're purchasing a bot. Like I said, you're obviously purchasing the software, but you need the dev on the other end to continue to update that software for it to be useful. So I'm just one more time, I'm not saying that this is happening to Wrath, but I do want to hammer home the point that even though some bots do look to be invincible, everybody's time comes. And finally, coming in at #1 on my list, I have Valor AIO. This is, in my opinion, just based on the data, the best bot, and it is also my personal favorite bot to use based on my personal experience. Valor has several features that make it #1 on my list, but the top feature is that, in my opinion, it is hands down the best Yeezy Supply module right now, and with that, That's the site right now that we can really run up our checkouts on to the most of our ability. So that's the main reason why I have it this high on my list. I don't think that point is up for much debate. Some people might say Trickle is better. I think that's a load of baloney. But I do think Valor is by far the best Yeezy Supply module out right now. And like I said, that's a big reason why it's number one. And I really don't even think there's a close second. If you've watched my live cops, you see that I run multiple bots, and this is easily, hands down, the most effective Yeezy Supply bot every time. This is also a bot that allows you to have 2 instances. So, like we've mentioned before, you can have one on one server, one on the other server, or your computer, and you can have them running for separate things. I'll get into it in a second, but it does have the best Yeezy Supply module, and it also has a very good Shopify module and a very good Footsites module, in addition to a very good JD Sports and Finish Line module. The bot also offers automation, so that is a great feature too for Footsites. So just all in all, like I said, this bot pretty much covers all of your bases. It's the best on Yeezy Supply, it's up and coming on Shopify, very good on Footsites, arguably the best on Finish Line, and then it also has Footsite automations. So, like I said, that is pretty much covering all of your bases with this bot, and it does all of those modules extremely well. With the Shopify module, we don't have all that much data on it because it is a relatively new module, but I would argue that in the next month or two, this will be a top 1 to 2 Shopify module. Pretty much from what I've seen from this team, anytime that they start to move their attention to something new, they do the best at it. That is from personal experience. I have hit with Shopify, but pretty much every drop that I use it is doing much better. So I think that that is a really unique thing in this space. The fact that this bot could have in the next couple months the best Yeezy Supply module, the best Shopify module, the best FNL module. And while it's not the best Footsite module, when they had put more time and attention into it prior to the whole Flex Raffle system, that had been one of the top modules too. So with this bot, I think it's better than Wrath just because of the fact that it pretty much covers all of those sites, but I think that it does them better. So that is up for debate. Like I said, I know a lot of people will think Wrath is number one just because of the spread, but I think that Valor, just based on what it's done in the past and the trend with their Shopify module, I don't think that it's long until it's the best in class in both of those. Another feature on this bot that I don't think gets enough attention, and I don't really know why, because when you really look into it, this is pretty outrageous, is the fact that for Yeezy Supply across, let's say that you run 1.2 tasks on each instance. So you're running about 2,500 tasks for Yeezy Supply. You only need 2 Gmails. That's ridiculous. If you look at other bots, like for Wrath, when I run 1,000 tasks on Wrath for Yeezy Supply, I have 8 Gmails up. If I run both of those instances, I'm not shitting on Wrath. Great bot. You need what you need, right? I'm going to use the 8 Gmails if I need to. But that's pretty ridiculous that for Valor, you only need 2 Gmails for 2.5 tasks, and that's going to work better than any other bot you have. So I don't really know why people don't talk about this as much. Pretty much every other top Yeezy Supply bot, you need a good amount of Gmails to run. For this, you only need 1 or 2, and that is a massive advantage when it comes to running these big setups. I mentioned the dev for Wrath because I felt that he did such an outstanding job, but the dev for Valor, Justin, also does a ridiculous job. He is constantly updating all of the modules. Doesn't seem like the dude sleeps. So again, it is very good when you're in a Discord and you see how active that dev is, that it is a constant move forward. So again, I think that the top 2 bots on this list, I don't think you can go wrong with, but I do think that this bot does have an edge over Wrath. And again, I think that you're investing in a dev that has really shown that he's about this, right? Like he is constantly updating everything. Every module is constantly progressing. And I feel comfortable with my money being in that bot just based on the work I have seen him do. As of making this video, the resale price right now for Valor is sitting at around $2,000. Again, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that $2,000 is not a lot of money and not a big investment. That's a lot of money to put into just a piece of software that doesn't guarantee you anything. But I can't stress enough that this to me was the easiest spot on the list to pick. I had a lot of debate within my mind about the other spots on the list, but in my opinion, this is the best, hands down the best bot on the market right now. If you can get a copy, I would do so as soon as possible. I think that after the end of February and March, the prices are going to go up after we've got more of these big releases. So all in all, I would just say get your hands on this right now if you can. Best in class. So that's all I have for the list today. That's my top 5 with a couple honorable mention. I'm now going to cover just a couple more factors that are definitely going to play a big part in your success or lack thereof. So first is obviously proxies. I've made a video on this several months ago. That would be good to check out. And I am going to make a new proxy video in the coming weeks just to reiterate some of the things that I've learned over this time and just to hammer home some of the things that were in that video. Obviously, when you're botting, the proxies matter. You can't just have, garbage residentials, have all the best bots and do as well as you see, the top tier botters doing. You pretty much get what you pay for. You're going to have better success depending on the drop if you have ISPs, right? If you have a subnet that's not banned on Yeezy Supply or Footsites or Shopify, you're going to have more success. Those are just better proxies, they're faster. If you have, good residentials, a good mix of ISPs, a good mix of metered like live, your success is going to improve. So while you do need the top bots, if all you're running is just garbage GeoSurf residentials, you're gonna still struggle. So just, pay attention to what you're using. All I can say about proxies is the better cook groups you're in, pretty much the better proxies you're gonna have. If you are on Twitter trying to get into these private proxy groups without an invite, the odds of that happening are not very high. If you are in a high quality cook group like Notify or AK Chef, you're gonna have access to pretty much all of the private proxy groups and they're gonna be regular group buys. So, like I said, I will make a more in-depth video on proxies coming up, but this is just to say that your proxies do matter and the quality is gonna play a factor in your success. The next factor that's gonna play a big role in your success, and this is something that I've talked about myself improving a lot recently, is your server. Your server is going to play a factor, but if you don't have a large setup and you're only running a couple, like 100 tasks or so, it's not gonna be as big of a deal. That's not gonna be what make or breaks you at the start, right? Your server isn't gonna be the biggest factor. Now, as you're improving, right, and as you continue to run a more and more complex setup with more tasks and more bots, your server should increase in size or speed along with that. I've mentioned this a couple times now, I made a big mistake. While I pretty much improved every other aspect of my setup other than the servers, that really held me back for a while. So if you have been, looking at your setup and you've improved a lot and are still running a virtual server, maybe looking to getting a bare metal server. These things can all add up and you just need to make sure that you're constantly checking every aspect of your setup to make sure that nothing is holding you back. Another massive factor in your success, especially on Yeezy Supply and Shopify, is going to be your Gmails. Right now on Yeezy Supply, when I talk to people about how to improve their setup or look at people, what went wrong on a drop, the biggest issue is their Gmails, right? They might have a good bot, they might have all the top proxies, but right now, the bottleneck for your success on Yeezy Supply is going to be your Gmails, right? If you don't have one-clicks, it ain't gonna go that well. Right, I've seen it, right? I've seen people with the top bots, very good proxies, and they've got 0.9 Gmails and they just don't work. You are not going to get through Splash on a regular basis at the speed you want to if you don't have one-clicks. I've mentioned this a couple times, I'm gonna make an entire video on this in the coming weeks, but this really is the biggest factor that I see people need to improve their success. So same goes with Shopify, right? On a lot of these Shopify drops, if you aren't able to get through those captchas quickly, you're not gonna hit. So again, you want one-clicks. If you've got 0.9s, that's not good enough anymore. A year or so ago, it was cutting it, 0.9s were fine. That's not the case now. So you need to either figure out how to get your Gmails from 0.9s to one-clicks, or you either just need to buy one-clicks. Either of those is fine, but you need to get one-clicks. One other thing that is going to play a big factor in your success is going to be the information that you have. Now, where do you get your information? Cook groups. If you go back and watch some of my earlier videos on like the top 3 things to do when getting into sneaker botting, not that many people have watched those videos. Guess I didn't have enough subscribers at the time, but the top thing is going to be get into a good cook group, right? A top tier cook group is going to help you progress a lot faster. It's going to give you better information on stock numbers. It's going to give you better information on which drops to go for, when the drops are, shock drops, right? It's going to give you more information on group buys. You need to be in these groups so that you are operating with the biggest edge or have the biggest advantage just because of the information you're operating with. And finally, probably the biggest factor in your success is you. I'm going to make, like I said a couple times this video, an entire video on just what I think it requires from a mindset perspective to do well in sneaker botting. But in all, just are you going to be able to pick yourself back up after failing and falling flat on your face over and over and over again? Even if you get into this and you do really well botting, there are going to be days when you put a lot into a setup and get nothing. There are going to be days when maybe by accidentally you hit pairs you didn't mean to. There might be a day when like you hadn't hit any shoes, it's an easy drop, you make your setup for it, you know, and you end up hitting 30, 40 pairs that you don't really know how to get rid of and sell. There are a lot of factors that are going to go into this other than just you hitting pairs. That is obviously the first part, but then you need to know how to sell them. You need to know which pairs to go for, which sizes to go for, which not to go for. Your mindset and how you approach things is definitely the biggest factor involved in your success. So, you know, you can have everything else right on this list, but if you don't know what you're doing and you aren't going about it as a skill, you're going to struggle. Anyways, those are my thoughts on what the top bots in the space are right now. I know that there is a lot of debate on this topic, so as always, feel free to leave any comments, questions, or debate topics in the section below. I will try to get back to you as quickly as possible, and just check back later this week in a couple days, as I should have a bot tutorial up on Valor. And until then, see ya.